Welcome back to Uncharted X. This is Ben, and I hope you're all doing well. The last several months have been a very busy time for me, and for the researchers of the Vase Scan project, and I wanted to put out something of an update on their recent work, much of which I've had the privilege of documenting, and also to give a preview of what's coming in the future. The TLDR version is, lots more vases have been scanned and analysed, and the results are going to blow your mind. I took a trip to Florida to visit the amazing collection of one of the owners and got to inspect them. My first time ever holding complete, incredible artifacts like these, a long-held ambition, and I have to say, quite a thrill. I also spent a couple of days in Illinois with Chris Dunn and the engineers and metrologists involved in the Vase Scan project, Nick Sierra and Alex Dunn, observing them doing real, hands-on metrology inspections of vases in a precision engineering lab. Not only are the results of these inspections utterly profound in their own right, they're massively impactful to the story of history as we know it. Not only do they confirm the results and subsequent precision manufacturing conclusions reached by the analysis of the initial granite vase, these results have answered some of the open questions that remained after that work. Is this first vase a unicorn, a one-off singular example? No, it definitely is not. Several of the vases that have now been inspected rival and in some aspects even exceed the precision found on the initial artifact. Are these things modern fakes? Well, no. Based on the work now done, we can confidently state that they are not modern fakes. Several of the examples recently studied possess impeccable provenance going all the way back to the 1800s, the century during which many vases were dug up from the sands of Egypt. This claim of fake is a charge that's levied by some of the skeptics and critics of this work, if not outright disingenuously, perhaps in an attempt to not have their egos or worldviews shattered by incontrovertible hard data. While criticism of and questions about the Vase Scan work are certainly legitimate, even necessary for projects like this, after all, it's profoundly narrative shifting in its implications, it's very difficult to argue with the hard data of the results and the open source nature of the work. You can download the Vase Scan and repeat the analysis yourself, and several independent people have done exactly that. I do, however, suspect that this particular cry of fake that's been levied against the project might be somewhat disingenuous, because even a cursory examination of what's involved with such a claim will quickly reveal that it simply does not make any sense. Maybe it stems from a lack of understanding of the nature and requirements for such precision manufacturing, in granite no less. Or maybe it comes from a desperate wish for it simply not to be true that these are in fact ancient Egyptian, even pre-dynastic artifacts, thousands of years old. While the team is working on getting access to museum pieces, many with indisputable provenance, and there are pieces in the current target collection that trace back to the 1800s. Even with the OG vase, the original granite vase, with a known history going back to the 1980s, or with those that are traceable back to the 1960s, as are some of those featured in this video, you have to ask, who was doing micro-machining in granite back in the 1960s, even the 1980s? Who was taking the time to design them with elegant, elaborate geometric forms? Forms that are based on indisputable, complex, and entirely intended mathematical relationships, evidently based on principles of geometry and universal constants like the golden proportion. And then who was executing said design in such a difficult and intractable medium as granite, with precision down to the single-digit thousandths of an inch? Work that today would only be possible on the very best machines we have, with ultra smooth and precise bearings, rods and ball screws, mounted in massively solid all-metal machines and digitally controlled by a computer. The cost of even attempting to make one of these would be very high, likely beyond any return you might gain from trying to pass it off as a fake to antiquities markets, a point Alex Dunn made well in my first video with him. So, what then? Was this some sort of hugely expensive practical joke? For what? In the hopes that someone, a half-century or more down the road, decides to scan and analyze them with technology that wasn't even imagined at the time? Yeah, good one.
What they call you?
The funny man.
Tell me a funny joke.
Now?
Not very funny.
So today, in this video, we'll get into the details of everything I just mentioned, so stick around. I've very much been looking forward to making this one. And at the end, I'll tell you where you can get access to download scans of some of these incredible vases yourself. By way of background, if you're new to this topic, I'd very much recommend checking out my previous videos on the frankly astonishing results from the structured light scan and analysis of a pre-dynastic granite vase from ancient Egypt. Pre-dynastic meaning it's classified based on its form and where it was found in a pre-dynastic burial, that it was made before the civilization known as dynastic Egypt ever started, which is estimated to be around 3150 BC, over 5,000 years ago. The first video on this vase discusses the initial scan and analysis, and introduces the professional engineers and metrologists who are behind the project and who deserve all of the credit for this work, Alex Dunn and Nick Sierra, as well as the vase owner, Adam Young. In the second episode, I cover some additional analysis of parts of the vase, particularly the area of the vase body between the lug handles, and discuss the 3D model or STL file being made publicly available. This is also a good backgrounder if you're looking for more context on the overall subject of hard stone vessels and their place in the history books. I won't cover this topic again in this video, but it is a subject both important and relevant to this discussion. I gave something of a speed run through it in that video, but much more detail is provided in a separate dedicated video about the vases, and also in one that discusses where the majority of them, over 40,000, were found, in the tunnels and galleries dug into the bedrock deep beneath the step pyramid at Saqqara. The background on these hard stone vases is also explained in my presentation on the Tale of Two Industries, which is chapterized if you want to skip right to it, as well as in a shorter live on-stage recording from my talk at the Cosmic Summit conference. Links to all of these videos can be found in the description box below, or in the video tab on my channel. The third video, covering the initial granite vase, dived into the remarkable analysis done by cryptographer Mark Kvist on his site unsigned.io as a result of the open sourcing of the STL file. Mark's analysis, his revealing of the mathematics and design behind the vase, is truly profound, and I'd very much recommend reading his articles on the vase or checking out my report on it in that video. To date, all of my content on this topic has centered on this single artifact, but I'm very happy to say that since then, the team has been able to inspect, scan, and analyze several more examples. This is thanks primarily to a new friend of mine, an individual who, since the vase project was announced, has managed to acquire over a dozen of these ancient and very expensive artifacts, and has been generous enough to allow them to be analyzed and inspected. So many, many thanks for his passion and commitment to finding the truth. It's very much appreciated. At this point in time, October of 2023, more than 10 ancient hardstone vases have been scanned using structured light scanning, a process that creates an accurate model of an object to a resolution of less than 1,000th of an inch. Some have even been scanned via CT X-ray, including the original vase, a process that has micron level resolution and reveals the details of the interior of the object. Where structured light scans create a point cloud with millions of points, CT X-ray generates point clouds with billions, and the scan files are gigabytes in size. Initial precision reports have been created based on the scans, and we've even had some initial geometric and mathematical analysis performed to investigate design methodology, or to see if there's any shared basis between these remarkable artifacts. I'll get into the details a little later in the video, but the results from this initial work so far are, let's say, very encouraging. Not only have scans been performed, in October of 2023, the vase owners and engineering team met in Danville, Illinois, to do a hands-on metrology inspection on a number of vases, with me tagging along to document the day. Led by Chris Dunn, Alex Dunn, and Nick Sierra, along with the vase owners, as well as engineers and executive staff from Danville Metal Stamping, several vases were put through an array of inspection, looking at concentricity, roundness, continuity, and wall thickness. Danville Metal Stamping is an ideal location for such testing. They primarily manufacture precision parts for gas turbine engines in the aerospace industry, and Chris Dunn, before his retirement, worked here for more than 20 years. I want to extend a special thank you to the CEO and chairman of Danville Metal Stamping, Judd Peck, and his son Gardner, for allowing the team to use their facilities on the weekend.